Edit audio.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robin Hopkins, and this is Well Adjusting, where I talk to people about life stuff, but not in an NPR way. It's more like we're at the bar, having cocktails, getting into your business sort of way.
It's giving drunk NPR.
Oh, and producer Steph is here too.
Hello.
Today we chat, well, the perception of fat. Well, hello, friends. I am so glad that you are here because, if you weren't, I would be alone and that would be sort of sad. But no, I am mostly glad that you are here because today we're talking about one of my favorite topics, weight. Yeah, it's weird to say that weight is a favorite topic, especially because I find the topic to be horrible, awful, hard, always present, the bane of my existence. And yet, I find comfort in knowing that I am not alone in this minefield called fat. Or am I fat? Or I used to be fat? Or I'm fat again? That whole shebang. So for me, I recently made a decision to go on a GLP-1. And in the beginning, I felt kind of embarrassed to talk about it. But then, a magical thing happened for me where my disordered eating became really more ordered. I felt kind of, normal. I'm using air quotes because whatever normal means for the first time in my life around food. And yet I'm reading negative article after negative article about GLP-1s, and I'm feeling conflicted because that's not been my experience. But that got me thinking it would be really cool to be talking about weight in a different way, than how it is being talked about today. So enter my pal Mordecai. Now, we've known each other for a lot of years, and Mordecai has been a fat activist for years. But then something happened where she lost weight during the pandemic, okay? So she got herself on Peloton app and never quit riding. And then when she went out into the world, she found out that people experienced her differently. She was no longer invisible. She had to adjust to this new way that the world was viewing her and she was viewing herself. And she was like, I'd like to talk about that. So we sat down, we had an amazing, all-encompassing talk about weight, society, perception from others, but also from ourselves. And this is a really special discussion. Full disclosure, much to my discomfort level, of course, I start crying halfway through, so you're welcome for that. Anyway, enough about me. Here is Mordecai.
I'm Mordecai. I think I'm most proud of being an expat. I work in innovation, and I like to do new things and disrupt people.
Ooh, I love that. You are a disruptor. And full disclosure, we've known each other for a while. We've known each other since in our baby 20s. A lot of drunken times, at least for me. I can only speak for me.
I think I recall that also being true. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Well, what are we talking about today? What are we picking apart?
Well, I think we're talking about adjusting to being in the world in different sizes.
Yes. We did a little pre-call like we like to do here on Well Adjusting just to find out what we're going to talk about with people. And you brought this up and I was like, I've been itching to talk about weight, especially it's so prevalent right now with GLP-1s, which in full disclosure, I'm going to talk about that too. But so I want to know, tell us a little bit about your story and how that's showing up for you.
So I think the only way to go for it is to say simply that probably the size I am now, I don't actually think I've ever been this size. So I have been the chubby girl, the fat girl throughout my entire life. And there's a lot of swings in that. So there's if we're staying in US sizes, it's sometimes I'm a 20, sometimes I'm a 12. So there's in-betweens in that. But I can clearly remember being at the Gap when I was in 5th grade and I was a size 10. So I just really remember that because my mother really wanted to bring that home as a fact into my life.
Was that a good thing she was saying or a bad things?
No. Weight Watchers came right after that.
Oh, okay.
It was something that I never understood. I understand society. I understand popular culture. I understand social norms and those sorts of things. I understand propaganda of the media. I get it.
Yeah.
But I was never, let's just say in school, I was bullied for it, but I was never the biggest girl. Yeah. It was just I was a chunky girl then, and then that varied. I always remember that people would say, you look so much like Ricki Lake and Rosie O'Donnell.
Okay.
And I was just like, white, brunette, fat girls does not make a, genetic lineage.
Yeah. And you look nothing like either of them, FYI.
Yeah. But I think the important part here is that I've been a fat activist for my adult life. And so been saying, grab my belly, look at this, and really embracing, fat girl frock swaps and, that's your problem, not my problem, sort of thing. And that's just been the way I've had that outlook. And so here I am, I'm in my late 40s, and I've been around this smaller size since around COVID, because I basically was a COVID Peloton addict.
Weren't we all?
Yeah. So we can blame, Cody Rigsby, Hannah Frankson, all of that. But that's
Leanne
just how I got.
My favorite gal.
Yeah. I mean, Sparkles, exactly. Like, that's how I got through COVID. I live alone, and it was like just me and my Peloton and a lot of video chats. And I just got smaller.
So you weren't even trying to diet? It was just like you were just...
Because I was put on Weight Watchers really young, I tried to avoid anything like that. But I knew things like, if you have 24 cookies in your house, it's probably not a good idea.
Says who? Just kidding.
Fair play. Absolutely. But I knew that didn't really make me feel so good and that kind of thing. So I had that awareness, but I definitely wasn't counting a calorie. But I was very controlled about what was in my house, and then also spending that time exercising honestly as a somatic release,
Yeah.
And then I moved overseas after COVID, and I think I got to have a whole new relationship with grocery stores, and I'm in a different kind of sugar society. I live in the UK.
Yeah. Completely different.
And I can tell the difference in that. So that's pretty much just the setup to the last few years and this experience. But, when Robin and I were talking about this, having known each other a long time, so she knows I am not telling a lie about the size journey, it is I'm not particularly happy with society's reaction and the way I'm in society as this size.
So what was the reaction?
I think it's all of the little things, which is, so I'm on public transportation, I'm in a big metropolitan city, that kind of thing. And so it's everything from, say you got the middle seat at the theater and people see you coming when you're big and they're the sighing, or sitting on the tube and, someone's like, this is an audio podcast, but I'm closing my arms I have to move over. And what I now encounter is when I am where's the sigh? Even if I have a big puffer on. And then also I'm getting man spread on. You think that because I have maybe a little extra space to give you. I'm not saying I'm a hot piece of anything walking around now, by the way, but you're more vulnerable. More people are noticing you. I feel like I'm literally in market more than I've ever been in market in my life. And the only thing that's changed really is my size.
Yeah. Hey friend, I'm just jumping in here to say that we've got a new way to get in touch with us. If you want to leave us some feedback, hopefully good, or suggest an episode topic or ask a question, all you have to do is go to sayhi.chat/welladjusting. The link's in the show notes, but I'll say it one more time. sayhi.chat/welladjusting. You could leave us a voice memo and we might just use it on air. And if you happen to be enjoying this episode, why not go ahead and subscribe to the podcast or rate and review us? You won't regret it, folks. What's so interesting is I feel like I have the exact opposite experience. I have internalized fat phobia of myself. I have this one friend who said to me, I noticed you've lost weight, but I didn't want to say anything. I never want to say anything. And I was like, always say it to me. Always. And it's because for me, being singled out as heavy or whatever, it's always the thing that someone can cut you with. It's the thing they can say that's just visible. And I always wanted no part of that. And I always was so thought it was so interesting how comfortable you were in your body and how you were like, fuck you, this is your problem, not mine. And so I'm fascinated by you walking out into the world and it feeling not good, I guess. And, I know that's my shit.
I think it's interesting also because I've been up and down, as I mentioned, even in larger sizes. People would say, oh, you look so good now. And my response was always, it goes up, it goes down.
Yeah.
So, like,
I keep all the clothes of all the sizes. Just put them in storage.
That was something I wrote down. I just wrote like 3 things. I called it the skinny bitch list. I was just like, it's really annoying because I don't trust purchases. Like I moved overseas. So, I'm not someone that has like closets of clothes, but I do have like under storage of, well, in case we gain a few, we got to have that, that's there.
Keep the stretchy.
All of that. I don't want to fight with everyone. I think people think when you're a fat activist or activist in general, I think you're there to really, that disruption means anger, fighting, and frustration. And it's really, for me, more of disruption, of challenging the norms of what can be great.
Yeah.
In that.
And I was thinking a lot about this coming into this conversation too, because it's like, let's just take it at face value, right? Like, I'm about to make a sweeping generalization, so stay with me for a second here. But like, people, as a general rule, make all these assumptions about people who are overweight, lazy, unhealthy, all these things. And they hide behind this, every social media comment section, like Jesus Christ, just go to Lizzo's page, poor Lizzo, and just see all the people being like, listen, I'm not being, fat phobic. I just think she's not healthy. And I don't think that that's a role model. Right. Great. So then GLP-1s come out. And then now we have this whole slew of people who are like, well, they didn't do it naturally. It's like, pick a motherfucking lane. And every article that I see about the GLP-1s, the angle is it's bad for you in one way or another. Like there was an article about senior citizens who are gaining weight because they can no longer afford the medication or this, or, there's the abuse of it in Hollywood. But it's like, at the core, I'm kind of like, what are you mad at? Are you mad at people because they're not thin? But then they try to get thin and then you're still mad at them. Like, what is underneath it all? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And it's just so unfortunate. I saw a TikTok the other day that popped up and I saw someone say, I wish I didn't tell anyone because the way people narrate my story of the size I am.
Oh, about the GLP-1.
Yeah. And I just thought how interesting it is that people feel that they have a right to comment on. I mean, one thing I know, and this is the thing about when you say you know anything about women's health, it is a collective journey, and we are all on our own journey. Whether you're in a collective conversation with women around menopause or fertility or weight, the science has never really gone after what's going on with our individual bodies. And our individual bodies are so different. Pardon the fact that they did it, but they did it so it's easy. But like Grey's Anatomy has this as a major plot point. The fact that like the mice they use to like do this testing, one of the doctors is like, yeah, they're all male mice. And great Meredith Grey is saying, well, why aren't we testing on female mice? And they say, because the hormones are too out of whack. And I have learned that that's a true thing in medical science. And I'm no doctor, but that kind of thing. So we have to be Wicca witches around the cauldron and sharing our journeys.
Yeah. For me, being on a GLP-1 has changed my life because I have a food addiction. And it has quieted, like I can sit and talk to people and not be wondering if I could maybe hit the Dwayne Reed and sneak 17 candy bars into my bag and then walk into my bedroom with my bag and eat them so my whole family doesn't see I just did that. Like I could be running that conversation while talking to you right now. And I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm able to just like go, is this a smart choice? And does that mean I didn't do work? No, of course I'm still doing work. I'm still working out. I'm still doing the things to be healthy and I'm still making healthier choices. But it's getting taken away by a narrative. but I don't give two shits about it. Have your narrative all damn day long, because for the first time in my life, I'm like, oh, is this what normal people feel like? Like, I could leave a quarter of a sandwich on a plate and go, no, I'm full. Never in my life have I left food on a plate. So it's like, to me, I wish more people were talking about that individuality of it. What I'm doing is I'm just like, oh, I get to be normal. I get to think about food in a normal way. And that has changed my life. But I'd be a liar if I didn't say there wasn't a weight component to it for me of feeling better in my body and wanting to be at a healthier weight.
I have been really fit and a size 12. I've been, running down the West Side Highway every day to like Crunch Fitness and coming back and, being able to live. Like, these things have never correlated fully. So part of that I know is a myth because of my lived experience. And so therefore I'm like, I know I'm not at my greatest fitness right now. But I think that also for me, I just put that up to age.
Yeah. We're tired sometimes. That's all.
We're tired. So I think I get that what you're saying, because it's just you've lived enough life to know, these things don't correlate. So you thinking that I'm suddenly fit or not fit, nothing.
Or that if I'm working on my own, like losing weight, like I've gained or lost 50 plus pounds at least 4 times, which is not great on your body, number one. And when I've done it, I have to be on a really regimented food plan, calling into meetings, which I have no problem doing the meetings part. But, it's like no matter how many times I go in and talk about my spirituality, I still want to eat fucking 17 Cadbury cream eggs. And even on a food plan, I was white knuckling it a lot. And the entire time I'd be thinking, I'm either on my way up or I'm on my way down. And what will I do when I get wherever I'm supposed to be? And I could never hold it. And now I'm just not thinking about any of that. I'm just kind of like, this is a healthy meal today. And that's a game changer. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I do wish more people understood that side of it. Steph, I want to hear where your thoughts are on this.
I mean, I think there's sort of 2 conversations we're having here. And one of them is about societal norms. And I think society views fatness as like a moral ailment. Yeah. Not as like a health issue. And that's not fair. Like, it's stupid. It pits people against each other. It makes like people that are naturally thin seem somehow like superior to people that are not naturally thin. And that's what's feeding into the system. Like, if it really was about health and it was a health issue, people getting help from medication would be amazing. And everyone would be happy.
And lauded. Like, people would be like, good job, taking care of yourself.
But because it's an issue that is treated as like a moral thing that people are like somehow lazy, it's somehow seen as like a cheat code. Which, if anything, like having medication respond to your body proves that it is actually like a health issue. So like the whole thing doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. I don't know. I mean, because GLP-1s are such a like huge deal right now, I have hope that maybe so many people will be on them that like that rhetoric shifts slightly. But like, do I believe in that? Not really, because I think that sort of system about like judgment and laziness like extends way beyond fatness. That's like how we feel about people with addiction problems. It's how we feel about people with mental health problems. It's how we feel about people that are unhoused, about like whatever. Like, it could extend to so many things. It's just like this idea that there's somehow one superior being. But if we can't control that, I guess the thing that I keep coming back to is like, how is it affecting you? And how do we control the things that are within both of your lives to make your lives more enjoyable?
Yeah, let's go there, because I think that's a really interesting point about like what you have done with the man spreading and especially given you're an activist at heart. Like, how are you showing up in the world with this? Are you just talking to people about it? I mean, you're doing this, which I love.
I'm doing this. So that's one thing. And I appreciate the space to kind of say it. And also maybe the things that you and I are thinking, having different experiences and similar experiences at the same time. And you two stuff, like maybe that helps others. But it's also an occasion to say, yeah, I know what's been going on in my life. I'll see people and they will say, "You look so good." and I, on one side, it's very important that we all receive compliments, that when someone tells you something complimentary, you don't think of them as an asshole. There's been enough therapy in my life that I try to reckon with that. And I don't think people are bad people for that. I frankly put it a lot to, there's that Brene Brown book about the wilderness. My understanding is she wrote it around the initial Trump election and, the divisiveness. And so the basic concept is, you can take a little bit and you don't have to throw the whole person out, that people are trying to do things in their way and to give them an opportunity. And so that was an important framing for me generally when I read that book years ago. And I think of that, I'm not mad at anyone for basically what I would refer to in my fat activism as being a victim of society's issues. I can't go after people that are just part of normal worlds. It's sort of like, well, bad for you for listening to that pop music. I hope that makes sense, because it's a weird thing, but it's a very hard thing to frequently hear, as if everything is perfect for you now in a way.
That's the question. Yeah, that's the question I was going to ask you is, I think oftentimes when a compliment is presented and it's taken the wrong way, it's because there's an implication that it wasn't that way before. Like, you look great now, but you didn't look great before. But is that our own insecurities? Like, does it necessarily mean, or can we just take it like, you look fucking great today and you looked fucking great last Thursday? I don't know, but I think I'd be lying if I didn't say that people do mean you look better when you're thinner. Like, they just
For
do.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, and pardon me for always equating it to other things, but so I'm 47. I am single. I do not have children. And I often end up in conversations where people are like, but are you still thinking of having kids?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is nothing in my life that I think says green flag to that. I live in another country. I take a flight home from New York at Thanksgiving that is all women with black framed glasses like me, wearing all black with a pop of red. And they're all like, yeah, I had to get out of that country again, or I've been living in England for 20 years. It's the best thing I ever did. But we all go home for Thanksgiving and then we, get on this flight. And so when someone asks me if I want to have, children right now, I look at them and I'm like, you're just not mathing the math that's before you. Yeah. And I sort of thought that before, as well as a larger person, knowing that I've had great dating lives as a woman of size. I've had all the normal experiences one has in their romantic life. I have been wooed at different sizes. I have been desired at different sizes. I have loved myself at different sizes. Cat Williams said years ago in a stand-up, and I don't actually know where Cat Williams is on the cancel culture barometer right now, but Cat Williams said, whether you got stretch marks from being fat now or skinny now, I don't care. We still fucking. And for me, when I heard that, I was like, because it is a life lived. And a life lived means that you've got stretch marks because you've been I'm like you, Robin, I've been up and down. That's why I said I used to, when people give me the compliment, I just say, well, and that's kind of my activist side, is I'm a little bit like, careful what you say, because this is what you're seeing today. And that may change in a year, because I know me, even doing this podcast, I still know me. We may have this conversation in 5 years and be on different sides of this.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, well, I got big again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I do feel like where Steph was, we were two conversations, but I can feel them coming together, because it feels to me like it is about what we do with what other people think about us and how we let it influence us. And as I'm sitting here, I feel like you sound so evolved, and I am literally researching tummy tucks and turkey. And I recognize that it's an ideal that I want to get to, or that I have never really been at. But even that's not true. If I go back and look at pictures of me in high school where I thought I was fat, I'm damn skinny. So it is all in my head and all out here. And like, could I get to a place where I'm like, yeah, these stretch marks represent all my life that I've lived and what I've done? Or do I fly to Turkey and have them take the stretch marks out and at the same time be like this is part of all the life I've lived? And it's like, I don't know the answer to that. And 5 years from now, I could be in a completely different place too, because I have been in a different place on this conversation forever.
The answer doesn't matter. Like, I don't think there is an answer, you know? Like, if you want to get a tummy tuck, go get a tummy tuck. Like, who gives a shit? If you want to take GLP-1s,
Mary,
go take GLP-1s.
that's who gives a shit.
I mean, yeah, like financially, whatever. We can investigate whether it's a good life decision on the other side of things. But like, if that's what it takes to get where you think you need to like be loving and accepting of yourself, like, go off. I think the bigger question is like, are you making those decisions because you're making those decisions, or are you making those decisions because society is a fucking asshole?
Well, obviously it's because society's a fucking asshole. Mordecai is far more evolved than I am. I think we've established that around minute 4, I think.
I don't, for me, I want to go back to what I heard that when you may catch this when you listen later, but when I said my last bit and I talked about, I may be bigger, the sigh that you let out.
I know. And I knew it was coming out of my mouth.
And it like broke my heart.
I know.
And it's not, and that's not me looking down on you. Like, I have had that sigh. So this is a peer-to-peer, conversation. And all of it we're talking about, like bad society, judgment, assholes, all of that. But when I hear my friend sigh like that, that's the problem, is that there's a lot of years in that sigh. When I make that sigh, I have a lot of years behind that. I have a lot of still pain, that comes from it.
Yeah.
From being bullied, from maternal mother stuff. But it's just like, we are having light conversation around, I don't get sighed at when I sit on the tube or sit down at the theater. But that's a heavy, heavy way to walk. Like walking into a store right now and actually not having the sales assistant be like, ugh, what do I do with this one?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that all of these micro bits, I think, equal size like that. And so it's like, to go back to that, I hear it like 100%. I'm just going to finish this thought because I know you have, we have 10 thoughts on the table, but in that, when I think about, I'll swing back, because that's my experience. My experience is, it has been a while. So that was why I was kind of comfortable talking about it here. But if I go back, there is also a great comfort in that. It's like being an introvert. I get to go back into my duvet day and be ignored by the world for a bit, which I gotta say, I'm not too mad about sometimes. Like, I am a bit of an introvert. And so to not be seen, I think I would appreciate again.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. First of all, that's a really lovely thought. And I get that. I really get that. Like the hiding is the safeness of it. I really get that. On the side, I do want to say this, because it's like, I could feel it as it was happening. And then my first thought was, I had 14 thoughts. My first thought was, oh, fuck, I hope Mordecai doesn't think this was about them. And then I went into like, okay, well, this and this and this and this and this. But like, taking a second to think about it, what that sigh is for me is, if I am back there, all that comes with it. For me, it would mean, this is the part I'll start crying, I fell off someplace. I'm largely beating myself up. I'm in pain. I'm probably being mean to others because I hate the cycle of it. I know how it'll feel when I open my closet and I take a pair of pants that used to fit me and now make me feel awful. What it means in my work, because it's an outward profession where people are looking at your weight. Like, the idea that I gained weight means I will be in the middle of all of that. And that is what I am exhausted by. But yes, all of that is society based. Most of it is, or some of it is. But the part of how mean I am to myself and the process of when I lose my way with food is not. And that's why the GLP-1 has been a miracle for me, because I don't feel that way right now. Like I can't underestimate, or you can't underestimate, one can't underestimate what it is like when I say I now feel like a normal person in relationship to food. So I just wanted to say that's where that sigh is. And I think it really brings up how much pain is around weight, and people don't understand it. And they throw out words like fat, like that it is nothing. And so I understand the need to want to take that word back. Remember, you might remember this, Mordecai. Remember Dyke TV back in the 80s, 90s, right?
Of course.
Like I volunteered with them when I was first coming out because I was like, how do I meet the gays? And I remember saying to them, because I draw a lot of the parallels about internalized homophobia as well. Like, but why that word? Because in the 90s, I was like, aren't we trying to fit in? And they were like, we're reclaiming the word. And I don't know if I've ever been a reclaimer. I think I have always been like just thankful you let me on the bus, which is not one of my best qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Why did this? Let's talk about Steph. I don't like this.
I mean, I just want to say, like, thank you for saying all that also, and being willing to be vulnerable about it and open about it, because I know a lot of people aren't even comfortable having sort of a tinge of this conversation. So that's huge. But also in what Mordecai was saying, like the amount of pain that was in one side, like that can come from a microaggression, like that can be brought up by microaggressions out in the world. And so just like, I don't know, being nice to yourself more, like to sort of like counterbalance all of that. Like that's all sitting in you regardless of how you look on the outside.
That's years of the experience. Yeah. And that's why that sigh was so real, is because this has been my experience since my early 20s, talking over 35 years of this battle. And it's like, for the first time, I feel like I laid down my sword and I'm not fighting. And I feel this lightness and this freeness that, like, there's more space in my heart to be kinder. There's more space for me to just be present. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So now that you're not like actively every single day, like in that struggle loop as much, maybe. Yeah. Like, what can we fill time with to bring in more little lovely moments? Yeah. To like counterbalance the meanness.
Yeah. Yes. And it goes back to like what you're saying, Mordecai, too, of just about like this understanding. Like this has been, I think, a big, I knew it, but it's like, oh, it's even bigger or more present than I am aware. And like, that's kind of what you're saying too, just in the inverse of like, you're out in this world and it's showing up in a way and you want to get back. In some levels, you wouldn't be mad to be back in the duvet and be invisible. Like we're fighting upstream from a place that we were for a very long time.
Yeah. So I had an interesting journey in my being a fat woman and fat girl. Basically, long story short, I was out with a supermodel with my fat gal pal, and we got paparazzi'd. And they said that the supermodel was staying thin by having fat friends. And I became...
Lovely.
Yeah. No. Work it till you can't work it. And I was thrown into this space, like Perez Hilton was big at the time. And like, this is a little bit to the side, but I think it's important to acknowledge is that like, when you get paparazzi'd with someone, on one side, people are like, how fabulous. And then on the other side, I'm like, wow, I like look not the best right now. I thought that outfit looked different, etc. But when I got thrown into that space, I've always been a writer. So I was writing and I wrote for some magazines about sort of the experience of being a fat friend. And in that, I would just be in the solution. And it goes to what we're talking about here is, to me, it was all about the only time that I think someone doesn't look good is when they look uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. I'm not really fussed on your size, but if you're always like pulling up your bra strap,
Or that
it's not
thing where you pull the
Yeah.
belly of your shirt out, so you're just like trying to not cover your stomach.
Yeah,
You put the
like-
pillow over the lap. I got all the tricks.
like, and it's not even like me saying like you look bad, but it's like it puts a distance in you being comfortable. So I would write about all of the things that you need to do or you could do in the world. You know, before there was the Chub Rub cream, I talked about using deodorant for it and talcum powder and all of these things of like how to do that. You know, bike shorts are your best friend. And I wore a lot of maternity jeans for a long time because they had the right bottom look.
Oh, I love those maternity pants.
You know, because maternity wear is more fashionable than plus size wear.
Yeah, for sure. Plus
Little
size wear
things
is,
like
is
that.
just like tense.
Exactly. Like there were all of these hacks to like get the fashion I wanted or, you know, that kind of thing. But it was a lot of effort in that. And on the other side, one of the things I would talk about, and I remember clear as day being in around 34th Street in Manhattan one time, and I pulled my waddle walk, which is when I'm done with society. And so I'm just going to waddle like I'm pregnant so that everyone leaves me alone. And I was like on a train, I think I was probably on the F train. And I looked over and there was like a Puerto Rican grandmother with her granddaughter. And she said, "Do you want my seat?" And I was like, well, clearly my improv is stellar, for one. But it was like that's the level of effort.
Yeah.
But all of that adjusting is exhausting. And so what I would literally do as one of my hacks was walk around New York City as if I was pregnant so that people would just let me be.
There's just something so sad about all that has to be done that we're not, you know, just left to be in our own struggles, you know, that adds another layer on top of everything that one's already feeling. You know, it's a fucking battle. I mean, and it shouldn't be. But, you know, that's like saying, you know, people of every race and, you know, gender and should be able to walk freely through the world. Yeah, of course we fucking should be able to. But, you know, this is what exists in our world is the judgment. I made it dark there, didn't I? Steph, say something positive.
I will just jump in and say that I think people like you to be something that they can understand. And
yes.
Very few of us are understandable at first glance, at 20th glance. Like the best thing that I find about humanity is uncovering who we are, learning new things about people, you know, like Robin, you doing this podcast, all the things I can hear about your life experience through all the topics you cover. Like I would never hear that from you in a day-to-day experience. So it's like I get to uncover things from your life. This conversation is allowing us to explore things we may not have had the space for before and like all of those layers. So I just think that people like their safe space.
Yeah.
And their safe space is, well, you're operating on the same skinny bitch Bible that I am. And therefore, we understand each other.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, everyone's looking at something very different. If current politics have not taught us anything, is that we just don't know where people are. You know,
yeah, that's for sure.
I often am in conversations, and I'm not going full politics here, but it is like people will just make an assumption that I am on a team without asking me if I'm on that team. And so it's sort of saying, well, you operate on like that. I'm complimenting you for losing weight and having that experience because I think you're on the team that you know you've done good for that. Well, you know you've done good because that noise has stopped.
Yes.
I mean, I can relate to that on many other issues. It's like I can be present in a conversation because I am not looking at the cake.
Yes.
What a gift. That is worth every shot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with that person saying, well, Robin, you look great today.
No. I mean, I'll take it. I mean, I'm still me, but it has nothing to do with that. No, it's the freedom that has come, you know, and that's something I've been searching for forever. I've gone to hundreds of meetings, thousands probably at this point, and I never got the freedom. And everyone would be like, if you work it, it'll come. I'm like, yeah, when? People, white knuckling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I do think one thing has happened here, Steph, for confirmation, is that Mordecai just replaced me as the host of the Well Adjusting podcast. I do believe I was fired somewhere around the 34th minute, and you took my spot. It's
Not a
fine.
chance.
It's fine. It's the beauty of the Well Adjusting podcast is that we're just picking shit apart and we're just getting in there and talking about the human experience. And I absolutely love, first of all, I've always thought you're so eloquent in the way that you not just the way that you speak, but the way that you think. And I'm so thankful that you were willing to come on and talk about this. And then we got to catch up at the same time. I really enjoyed this conversation. We're probably not done with it.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's like also something everyone can relate to some degree. I mean, I know you both are just showing that you have very different experiences of like being people that have fluctuated in weight. I have my own, like, I think every person has their own experience of being judged by the world and trying to find a way to feel confident in it. So thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, how do we feel confident in this world? Because the world's not changing. I think that's a really great point. And so, Mordecai, like, this has been so lovely, and I'm sure everyone in our audience now loves you. Where can they get more of you if they wanted to?
Well, if you'd like to hear the dulcet tones of my voice discuss Formula One, you can follow the Brand Formula podcast that I do with my friend Elissa, and we drop an episode at least a week right now. Mind you, we've had two. But it's around the marketing around Formula One.
That's so interesting. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. This was an absolutely lovely conversation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. This was so nice. Thank you both.
So we just had this conversation. It was amazing.
Can we stop having conversations where I start crying and falling apart? Could we do that, please, Steph?
I mean, we can try, but
Steph hoodwinks me again.
that was not me. This
I
time
know, it
was
my
not me.
fault.
Last time
my
it
fault.
was 100% me. But I think it was a really good conversation. I think everyone can relate to it. I don't think we're going to fix society in like a 1-hour chat, but
No.
I would love to, but maybe if we've come to the realization that people are judgy assholes sometimes and the world is hard and existing in it as any size human is hard, but especially as a person whose weight fluctuates is hard, then what can we be doing to be a little nicer to ourselves? And I think that would be some good homework for...
Oh, you mean like right now we're going to decide that?
Yeah.
Ugh, okay.
I was going to say for us, but I'm giving it to you really mostly.
You
I mean,
son of a
I'll
bitch.
always take time to be nice to myself, but
You do.
yeah, what's something that we can do to be good to our bodies or something this week or feel confident?
Okay, so what I would have said before this conversation is I would have said, like, I'm going to go into, because my friend Natalie calls it shopping in your own closet.
Ooh.
I'm going to go in, I'm going to try on some outfits and see what make me feel nice. And I think I would have said that, but I think, honestly, like, sure, I'm probably going to do that because it does actually bring me joy. It makes me feel nice. But I think something that's better for myself is that I just, like, this week, I make sure I'm still doing my back exercises, like something physically nice for my body. You made a face. Is that a bad thing? Was that not a good one?
No,
Oh, okay.
I love that. I made a face. Right. I made a face like, oh, yeah, hell yeah.
No, but because I recently had this back thing where they kind of go in and burn some nerves in my back. And I am feeling significantly better. Now I'm at the 6-week mark and I'm feeling much better. And I can feel myself sort of maybe starting to like, and I'm starting to think about like, oh, I'm losing weight on my frame and that's easier on my back. But I do need to keep the good stuff for myself. And so I need to like still make sure that, because like I need to be reminded that yes, while the voices are quiet, it's still, I'm trying to make choices that are, I want to have this body and I want to respect this body and I want it to be around and I want to be able to walk the shit out of Ireland when I'm 82.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I like, that's got to be part of, and I do them, but I've fallen off in the last week or so. As my back has felt better, I've been a little bit like, we'll stretch tomorrow.
I'm going to follow up with you about that. I think you should do that. I think that's really good. And I have been going to this exercise class that I really like. That is like a mobility class.
Okay.
Which
Almost
I'm
like stretch lab.
it's like a mix of weights and mobility. So it's like strength training and mobility, but I kind of feel guilty like paying for it because it's not like me absolutely like pummeling myself into the ground, which is normally the exercise I like doing. Like I like to feel like I'm like dying by the end of it. So I felt guilty around like renewing my subscription. But in this chat, it's so funny because I went yesterday and I was like, all my gym clothes were dirty because I just got back from a trip and blah, blah, blah. So I was wearing like sweatpants and then like a bra type thing. And the whole class, I was just looking at myself in the mirror being like, you're so fat. I can't believe you would wear these. Like, blah, blah, blah. What is wrong with you? And like, I guess the combo of those two things before this chat, I'm like, I need to be doing that class because it makes me feel awesome. Like every time after I finished that class, I was like laying on the ground. And when I was done the class, I didn't think shit about it all. I was like, I want to be friends with all these people. No one else was thinking about it. Like it was so good. But at the beginning of the class, I was so mean to myself. And the instructor always ends the class by like thanking your body for all of the work that it puts in and like all this like nice stuff, which is like, to me, when you said about walking in Ireland, that's what I thought of. So I'm going to keep going to that class and find the money to pay for it. And B, just like let myself do things in my body that are like nice. Like it doesn't always have to be hard.
What makes us feel nice. That's what I've just been thinking in my head.
Yeah.
What makes us feel nice.
Yeah. And like it is good for me, but for some reason, I don't know. It's like a productivity thing or something. I don't know what that is. I'll have to investigate it.
We'll get into that in 17 more episodes, I'm sure, Steph. All right. We've got homework. So if you're listening, what's your homework? Yeah. What's your homework? That's what I want to ask you is how are you going to go out and be nice to yourself? And how are you going to
feel good in your body?
Yeah, feel good in your body. What's that look like?
Hell yeah.
Let us know.
Okay, friends, thank you for joining us on this journey today. And a very special thanks to Mordecai for joining us and creating a space for this important dialogue. Hey, go out and listen to her podcast, y'all. The link is in the show notes. For more Robin, and you may need that, you probably don't need it, but like if you do, you can follow me at Real Rob Hops on all the platforms, all the socials, as the kids today say. Well Adjusting is an Edit Audio original series. It's exec produced by Steph Colburn and Robin Hopkins. Our producer and editor is Maria Passingham, and our production manager is Kathleen Speckert. Thank you to the entire Edit Audio team and to you for listening. Oh, hey, before you take out those AirPods, this show is just for entertainment. If you are in need of help, please reach out to a professional. Go ahead and get that help. You deserve it.
Agents who are realtors do more than open doors. They analyze market trends, interest rates, comps. They can tell you about flood zones, mixed-use zones, and decode acronyms like HOA, APR, MLS. They connect you to lawyers, contractors, even Phil, the sewer scope guy. They negotiate, coordinate, advocate for you, close the deal with you, and hand the keys to you. They bring you home. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.